Rome to this little jutting land here. It's a peninsula because there's deep marshes along this side. It makes it absolutely impossible to be attacked by land. If we're attacked by sea and this way, it doesn't make any difference. We can get supplies this way. And this, of course, you know, is the Bosporus. And he said anytime anyone tries to attack us this way, we can just construct a link chain across that, and no ships will be able to attack us. So therefore, it was virtually impregnable. They built a great city, Constantinople. Oh, by the way, when Emperor Constantine left, he had to leave someone in charge. So he made up this beautiful document, which, by the way, the church rolled out for many, many years during public demonstrations. And it's called the Donation of Constantine. In it, you see, when Emperor Constantine left, he turned to the Church of Rome and he said, I am going to create a pope. And I'm going to bequeath to him all of the powers necessary to manage all of the lands to the west of that line. We will maintain to the east. In this beautiful document, he said, therefore, I bequeath not only the right of the Pope to be the final arbiter of all affairs, both legal and ecclesiastical, but I give him the right to raise taxes, hold armies, hold lands, be responsible, therefore, for the coronations of kings. Before that, it didn't exist. And therefore, he has the absolute right over this entire area, and that started the Great War in Europe for hundreds and hundreds of years, called the battle between the church and state. This document. Oh, what does this have to do with Lorenzo Valla? He took a look at it and he said, gentlemen, I want to make a small point about this after looking at it. It's a forgery. It could not have been made before around about 850. It was never written at the time of Constantine. That was 300 AD. The whole thing's a forgery. So he did three things. Therefore, a short while later, a young chap by the name of Luther came along and said, let's see. The Bible is gone. We have the Greek text. We need a new Bible. Wait a minute. Why do we have to hold on and believe in the Pope and his offices and his councils? They're based upon this document. Therefore, there's no legal right to hold us and bind us to the Church of Rome. That's gone. Metaphysics. What do we have to worry about metaphysics for? It was designed by a pagan, Dionysius. So therefore, he redefined Christian faith based upon conscience, didn't it? One man did it, Lorenzo Valla. Pardon?
I didn't hear. Based on Luther.
Based upon Luther? I hope. Pardon?
Conscience.
Conscience.
Oh, conscience?
Yes, conscience.
Oh,
Conscience,
conscience.
then. Conscience. Right? Every man has his conscience. That's a sufficient basis to guide your spiritual life. You don't need the ecclesiastical. You don't need the hierarchy. You don't need the church. You don't need the sacraments. You don't need the paraphernalia of Rome. Do you not? Yeah. So therefore, Dionysius' name was changed to Pseudo. Right? Pseudo Dionysius. Pardon me?
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, that's where he got his name, Pseudo Dionysius. Now, so I told you I'd get back into the history. All right? Yes, please.
In other words, the pseudo is false. So
Yes, false Dionysius.
Dionysius was actually who?
No one knows who wrote it. But it was written, it looks like, a year after they closed Plato's Academy, and it was found in Syria, where it happens just by accident, the philosophers went. Now, some of you, I suspect, are thinking that maybe one of those crazy Platonists whipped up the letters of Dionysius and the writings of Dionysius to preserve and continue the Platonic tradition in the church. Is that right? Well, all we have to do is see to what degree can we say that this thought that we represented here is in Dionysius. If it is, how did he do it? All right? Now, Thought you'd like that historical introduction. And now I'd like to tell you about the 10 letters. All right, 10 letters. I gave you a sheet, 10 letters. Now, if you have time someday to get a good book and you want to get into this in some detail, I strongly recommend you get the book, The Hierarchy and the Definition of Order in the Letters of Pseudo-Dionysius by Hathaway.
You're going to have to repeat that.
Well, it's there on the bottom of the page.
Oh, okay, I see it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
That's okay.
Do you have a consent sheet?
Yes, I do. Didn't you get one? Excuse me. I beg your pardon. Yeah, let me make sure you get that. It's also good for a Christmas gift if makes good Christmas cards if you fold them over.
Right. Give it to the right person.
Yes, yes, it's a good gift. I think so. Even though it's a joke, it's quite serious. Now, what I'm going to do now is summarize some of the points that Hathaway has made. He's a very fine scholar. He plays the violin beautifully, by the way. Right. And he makes the following points, and he can show why it is that they are the way they are. And it's not part of my thesis that I'm going to present to you, therefore I'm just going to summarize them so I can do what I want to do. All right, first thing he says. These 10 letters bear a very close relationship to Parmenides. If you take Parmenides, Plato's Parmenides, and he has what are called the 9 hypotheses. All right? And guess what they are? The first, second, third, fourth, fifth. The first is called the one. The second has been given the name intelligence, being, etc. Soul, body and soul. And matter, or unformed, non-living. Right? 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's the denial of these, the denial of the second, the denial of the third, the denial of the fourth, the denial of the fifth. That is to say, he whips out a great metaphysics where he shows you can understand the nature of the one. He gives you the logic and the tools necessary to understand intellectually intelligence, the soul, body and soul, matter. And then these are the arguments against it, which is a rejection of each of those points in the sequence that I just made. So, one is pure, stands alone. 2, you can actually, if you'd like to see it in a figure, I think of it in a figure and I'd like to share that with you. Stay there. You can put the second, third, fourth, and fifth hypothesis, which represents each one of these, and their denial Therefore, you can study both how to affirm it and how to deny it, how to affirm it, how to deny it. Then you can see the relationships going any number of ways you want. It's extremely well organized. And each one of these can be represented in this great structure. Now, Plotinus comes along, great Neoplatonist, and he spends all his time trying to explain how you can make the transition between each one of these realms.